Well, hello, ladies. Welcome to this week's episode. I hope everyone is well. Last week on my community page, and if you haven't seen it, please go to the website, go to the YouTube channel, you'll see community. And oftentimes, at least once a week, I'm posting something. And last week, I posted, was there any questions that you had of me and about this transition that I'm making in my life? And if you're unaware of what that is, I will put the link right over there to that video. But one of the questions I get all the time is about my wardrobe and what I wear, which I must say I don't really take too seriously. For me, it's just clothing on my back, um, which is really unusual because I went to design school and I know how to cut material and all this, but it just doesn't interest me at this stage in my life. So I have questions I'm going to answer about that. And also last week, in last week's video, which I will also put right there, and I'll link them below, I mentioned that in my clearing out, I found this old man's suit. And I took it to the dry cleaner, and I now have it in my possession. And I'm going to I'm created a small video clip for you so that you can see that suit. I've done research on that suit as well, and I reckon it's from the early 1900s, which essentially makes it over 100 years old. But that'll follow at the end of this video. But back to my wardrobe, and honestly, that's the most popular videos that I do on this channel, which, as I said, is ironic because it really doesn't it's not that important in my life. But I think maybe people are intrigued that I wear just black and white. And that was one of the questions. How did I morph from from colors, because I did wear colors, into black and white? And I've thought about this question since it was posted in the community page, and I honestly don't know. When I look back at old photographs, I can see consistently a white shirt. So somewhere in ye old brain, I liked white shirts. And more often than not, I wore them with a plain pair of trousers or a plain skirt. So that's probably how it morphed into what it is today. Um, I in my being, I like things that are classic, and that's just can be revealed in my clothing. I like I don't like looking backwards, but I like the way certain things were done years ago, and I follow that trend, so to speak. I sit at the table when I eat, and I like that old sense of being. And classic uniforms, as I call it, is part of that. And one of the other reasons why I use black and white is because I'm very attuned to color, and that's probably because of my design background. So the thought of having to match a red with a certain red, or a red with an orange, or a red with a blue, it just gives me the willies. I just don't want to do it. And really, with black and white, sure there are hues of both, but with black and white, in my mind, I can get away with wearing black and white. It doesn't matter if it matches because, as I said, they're opposite ends of the color spectrum. So there's not that pressure to match everything. When I go into a store or when I look online, and if you've been following me, you know that's not my favorite thing to do. Actually, I prefer to go to the dentist first. But when I go shopping looking for clothing or articles that I must have in terms of to clothe my body, it's not a wanting, it's a must. When I go and look, black and white just stand out. That's all I see. So it makes that whole process, which I don't like doing, very easy. My eye goes to the black and the white. If I'm searching online, for example, I can filter that as well, oftentimes. So that's another reason why I wear black and white. And in terms of why I wear a uniform, I wear a uniform because it's just easier. And it is something that I have created. And I just occasionally, when I need to, I buy pieces of my wardrobe puzzle and fit them all in. But in the whole scheme of things, I try and make it very, very simple. Thus, my simple life. Because I personally find that there's much more that I want to do with my time and energy, and deciding what to wear doesn't even rank. And yeah, that's why I wear a uniform. That's why I wear the black and white. Will that change? I'm not sure. I can't imagine that it will. Someone asked me also how, because I am moving and I am going to be moving initially to an environment with four seasons, and I am not used to living four seasons. Sure, if you live in South Florida, there is a definite summertime with a lot of humidity, and then there is another period of time, which we're going into now, with less humidity. And with less humidity, it's very, very pleasant. But somebody asked me, well, how are you going to actually deal with the four seasons? And if there's one thing that causes me concern, it's that. First, Miss Evie, getting Miss Evie there. But the other thing is the clothing, and me physically dealing with the cold weather, because I haven't done that for a while. But my conclusion, what I've decided to do is just to layer everything up. And as I change my environment, I can peel off the clothing. And I have purchased a couple of I've purchased a duster, I've purchased a jacket, and a couple of, well, this blouse here is a new blouse. I don't really have, I have two cardigans. And my sister has told me that she will provide me with other warm items. Socks. I don't have a pair of socks. So those sort of things, I will just, it's an adventure. I'm going on, and I will figure that out as I go along. Will I stay in the cold weather? I I really, really doubt that, because I enjoy being outside, and cold weather, rainy weather doesn't really float my boat. But initially, I'll swim. I'll swim in, I'll swim wherever I have to swim, and I'll walk whatever weather I have to walk, and I'll be outside as much as I can be. So those are the basic, some of the questions, not all the questions, of what was posed to me in the community tab. And I will continue to answer those questions. I have an idea, which I'll throw to you. I was thinking, as I go through this process of moving, uh, and this would apply to downsizing or just to clearing out. There are certain things that I've been doing every week. I set myself a target in the beginning of the week, and by the end of the week, I've got to have it done. And my question to you is, would you like me to do a short video with that topic in mind? Just something on this, but just so that you can see how I am progressing um, in in the move that I'm making. So let me know in the comment box below. And without further ado, I'm going to slip in that video that I have created on this 100-year-old suit. It's actually more. It's probably 120 years old, but uh, let's roll. So I did a bit of research on this suit, which as I mentioned, it was either my grandmother's brother or her father, which makes it really old. But from my research, it was created in the 1900s, in the early 1900s, and it was a middle class suit, originated in England. Men at the time they owned several suits, and depending on the time of the day, they switched suits, and women did the same thing, that they changed often throughout the day. Um, it's a three-piece suit set. There is obviously it's the trousers, and then there are, which you'll see have an area for suspender belt. There also there's a vest, or a waistcoat as it was called then. And then there is the jacket, which is called a morning jacket, and it's got a curve to it. From my understanding, it is really heavy wool. It's heavy on the my body, but it will keep me warm. And that ultimately is my whole reason for doing it. I feel very, very excited to be able to wear something that my relative wore. And I imagine them looking down at me and saying, good on you. So I hope you enjoy this segment. I've really enjoyed creating it and doing the research. Let's go.
And here are the trousers. Here again, there are buttons here, but when I put it on again, they broke off. Well, the thread's over 100 years old, so you would imagine that. It's got, this must be the area for the suspender belts, and again, in the back here is a metal buckle to adjust it. The length was not long enough, surprise, surprise, but, and I did have them take it down, and if you look here, you'll see that there is like a curve up, and apparently that was to accommodate the shoes, but it is really, really warm. I had it on today for these pictures. It is very, very warm. And interestingly, I know from my education that buttons did not really come into fashion until about 1920, 23. So that's why there's buttons here as opposed to a zipper. So here is the vest coat. It's a waistcoat or a vest. And you can see it's lined. It's got covered buttons. Now one of the buttons popped off when I was putting it on, so I will have to get more buttons, but there's these lovely pockets. And then if I turn it over, let me just turn it over. There's this buckle, which is interesting because that's metal, not plastic, as if it was made today. And there's a little bit of a V. So it's really, really well made. And I'm so happy that I have it. And here is the jacket. It's not picking up very well, but you can see, the scallop, I suppose. The sleeves, this is all just wool. And it's really, really well made. It's called a morning jacket. Double buttons right here, buttons here. Yeah, and that's so nice.
So that is it. If you know anything about this type of suit, this clothing, I would really, really love your input because I find it very, very intriguing. That's the reason why I wear black and white, and that's why I'm wearing this heavy clothing, because I am going to a colder climate. I wish everyone a good week. Stay well, stay safe. Prayers for Ukraine and the Middle East, and let's just hope it stops there. Toodles, everyone.